Have you ever walked into a room and just felt the vibe? You can almost instantly tell who's confident, who's a little anxious, and who's in charge, all without a single word being spoken. Well, what if I told you that's not a superpower? It's actually a skill, an art that you can learn. It's the art of seeing the stories people tell without words.
All right, so here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll go beyond just the spoken word. Then we'll dive into the body's silent story. After that, we'll look at a sort of map of personalities. I'll give you a toolkit for spotting the telltale signs, and we'll wrap up with why all of this is so powerful.
You know, we all run into this problem. We listen to what people are saying, but we completely miss what's really going on. We take their words at face value and, well, we end up misreading their intentions, their feelings, and the actual truth of the situation.
Just think about that for a second. What if you could actually see the unspoken currents running through every conversation, every meeting, every single interaction you have? That's the secret we're going to start unlocking today. See, we get so focused on the words, but the body is telling a much more honest story. Every little gesture, every glance, every subtle shift in posture, it's all part of a silent message. And this isn't some kind of magic trick, you know? It's all based in psychology and observation. It's really about learning to listen with your eyes. So how does this even work? I mean, how is it possible? Well, it all boils down to this really powerful, undeniable link between what's going on in our minds and what shows up on our bodies.
Basically, nothing happens on the inside without leaving some kind of mark on the outside. When you feel ashamed, what happens? Your head might dip down without you even thinking about it. When you're stressed, your voice gets tighter, your jaw clenches up. But when you feel confident, your body literally expands, your gaze gets steady. It's a scientific fact. Your body is like a living, breathing billboard for your inner world.
Okay, let's put this into a real-world scenario. Picture a job interview. You've got candidate A. Inside, they're fighting off a wave of anxiety, and you can see it in their super tense posture, their clenched hands. Then there's candidate B, who's trying so hard to look confident, but their eyes are just darting all over the place. And finally, candidate C is just completely overwhelmed by nerves. Their whole body is leaning in, foot shaking like crazy. See? On the surface, it's just three people sitting there, but their bodies are shouting three totally different stories. This really just says it all, doesn't it? It's a silent language. And once you start paying attention, you'll realize it's being spoken all around you, all the time. Now, of course, people are incredibly complex. You can't just put them in a box. But we can use a kind of map of common personality patterns to help us find our way. Think of these as general guides, not rigid rules, that help us understand what really drives someone. So researchers have pointed to a few key patterns, and we're just going to touch on 5 of them. You've got the sensual pattern, which is all about seeking comfort and security. Then there's the muscular pattern, totally driven by action and getting results. The emotional type, who feels things really deeply. The quiet, more inward-looking, contemplative type. And finally, the analytical type, who's always thinking and strategizing. Let's just compare 2 of these to see how it works. Okay, on one hand, you have the sensual pattern. Their main drive is comfort. They tend to move calmly, speak gently, and they really value harmony. On the other hand, you have the muscular pattern. They're all about action. They're direct, confident, and they love a good challenge. Now, you can see how knowing these tendencies helps, right? You can communicate way more effectively because you have a better idea of what motivates them. All right, enough with the theory. Let's get down to the practical stuff. How do you actually do this? How do you start reading these signs in the real world? Well, here's a simple little toolkit you can start using literally today. Okay, 3 things. First, look at the face, and specifically the eyes. A real, genuine smile. Psychologists call it a Duchenne smile. It makes the corners of the eyes crinkle up. Second, check out their posture. Is it open and relaxed, or is it closed off and tense? That tells you a lot about comfort and confidence. And third, this is a pro tip, look at their feet. Seriously. The feet are the most honest part of the body because we almost never think to control them. If someone's talking to you but their feet are pointed at the door, well, their brain is already heading out. But here is the single most important rule of all. Ready? Context is king. Someone with their arms crossed might be defensive, or they could just be cold. A single gesture on its own means almost nothing. What you're looking for are clusters of signals, patterns. And especially, you're looking for those moments when their words are saying one thing, but their body is screaming something else entirely. That's where you find the real story. So finally, let's talk about why we're even learning this. What's the end goal? Because this isn't about getting one up on somebody or analyzing them like a science experiment. The real power here is something way, way deeper. The goal isn't to judge people, it's to understand them. This whole skill is a tool for empathy. It's about building bridges, not putting up walls. So why should this matter to you? Because it lets you build deeper, more authentic relationships. It helps you resolve conflicts with actual empathy because you can see past the angry words. It helps you make better decisions both in your personal and professional life because you're working with all the information, not just half of it. And maybe the most important thing of all, it helps you see when someone you care about needs support, even when they can't find the words to ask for it. So I'm gonna leave you with this thought. This whole thing isn't just about reading other people. It's about becoming more present and aware in your own life. Now that you have these tools to see what's usually left unsaid, the real question is, how are you going to use that insight to connect more deeply with the people around you?